This conference will now be recorded.
And appreciate all y'all prayers. We're just gonna run this real quick. Oh, on camera can't even see me. Hold on. Oh, yeah, better. All right, all right, there we go. All right, so man, blessings to the family. Y'all prayers was fire, exactly what I needed. And in this season that we're in right now, this season, this feast of tabernacle, this moed is very important. When Iman prayed, uh, she said something that was good, and I had to highlight it because she said for those who are able, right, to keep this moed, right, and I believe that she was talking about in a physical sense, but the understanding that we have to have is that everybody who claims to be in this walk is keeping tabernacle, no matter if you can camp, no matter if you can get in a tent, no matter if you're disabled in the hospital, in your house, because the essence of tabernacle in this day is who is in him, who is in our Messiah, right? Who has been delivered, who is recognizing him as their covering, and who is secure in him, and who understands that, and they are walking according to that. So everybody is keeping it, even those who can't keep it physically. Everything that we do in these last days is examining where your heart is. Are you going to worship me in spirit and truth, even if you can't keep it to the exact letter of the law? Because if we are honest, nobody can. Nobody can keep tabernacle. They can't keep any moed to the letter of the law. And so it's all about the heart. It's all about your intent to serve me on a day that I have set aside for you to worship, whether it be the weekly Shabbat or Passover, trumpets, tabernacle, atonement, right? And so it's just important that we all understand that, because the understanding of tabernacle, all moeds, but when it comes to tabernacle, whenever tabernacle comes around, just know that the angel, the captain of the host, right? The angel of Yah, his right hand, his voice, our king, right? He is visiting the dwelling places of everybody who claims to be in him, and he is going to judge, right? The whole purpose of tabernacle is to see who is in me, whose word dwells in them, from me, who is walking in my character. That is what I'm going to examine and judge, right? Um, Whether it be for good or for bad, right? When we look at Revelations chapter 2, remember, he goes to the seven churches and he judges all of those churches. He doesn't necessarily tell every church that they did something wrong. It was one church that he actually told, hey, look, you good, but stay the course, right? And there were six other churches where he said, there's an ought that I have with you. But nevertheless, he visited all seven churches and he said, tell them these words, and it was going to be words of encouragement, right? I see what you're doing, keep it up. And it was also going to be, if there is anything wrong, hey, this is my art that I have with you. You need to get it right before I come back. That's what tabernacle represents. It represents his ruach coming before us, his judgment before us, not just to condemn us, but to tell us, hey, look, you still got some things you need to work on. So it is a searching, it is a seeking, and it is a period of judgment. It doesn't matter whether you're keeping it physically or not. It's where your heart is. If you can do it physically, then you should be making every arrangement to do it that way. If you can't, then you can't. It's still, where's your heart towards me, according to what I commanded, right? So we gotta understand that, because it's important that in these last days, it's about the heart. He doing heart checks all around, right? Whether you serving him in a physical sense means nothing when your heart is far from him, right? It never has, but today is so important, because the time that we're coming into, you're gonna have a lot of people try to attach themselves to us, and their heart is far from him. You got to be able to discern that. You got to be able to see that, um, and if need be, correct those individuals according to the spirit of the Most High. But a lot of these people, it's just a time for a separation. It's just a time for a separation. Every year, as we go through these moeds, he's just separating and separating and separating. That's why every time a moed is approaching, what do we see? Chaos. We see everybody being revealed, everything coming out into the light, and you start to see the body or the remnant of the Most High becoming more clear. And this is why he said there's nothing that is done in the dark that's not going to come to the light. There's nothing that's going to be said in secret that's not going to be shouted from the mountaintops. Everything year to year is going to start to reveal itself, and we have to be able to discern, okay, that's of the Most High, that's not, right? And it first starts with us. So I'm gonna hit us with just a couple of scriptures, and then we're gonna continue this on Thursday. But we're gonna be coming from Job 11. Job 11. We know that Job was one that was tried, right? He was one that was tried because he was in the Most High, and the Most High recognized that. So he told Hasatan, "Have you considered my servant?" Right, my servant, the one who dwells in me. Right? Have you considered my servant Job? And we know that even though Job was tried because he was a righteous man, there were still some things in him that needed to be corrected. But nevertheless, his heart was always geared toward the Most High, to the point where even having any amount of sin in him that needed to be pulled out or plucked out, he still never went against the Most High. And that's what the Most High is trying to see. In these last days, when you go through trials, when you go through tribulation, are you going to curse me? Right? Are you going to curse me? Are you going to blaspheme my name? Are you going to bring me down? Right? Or are you going to look inward towards yourself and try to seek understanding so I can give it to you and deliver it? All right. So when we look at Job 11, it's this whole, when I read Job, it's so funny when you read about his friends and how they were just constantly trying to tell him, like, man, you sin, hey, just repent. You know what I mean? And he was like, what have I done? They was like, man, you did something, right? That's the whole like tone of Job, right? But when we look at Job 11, even though in this chapter they are coming against Job and they don't understand what he's done, but they just feel within their heart that he's done something, right? And they were off in a lot of their accusation, which is why Job even had to repent on their behalf, right? Because of their mindset, and they didn't seek to understand what was happening. They didn't pray for Job, right? They just tried to convict him. But it was something here in chapter 11 that Zophar said to him that was accurate. And it applies to us today. And so I want to read that. We're going to start from Job 11, and we're going to read, let's see. We're going to read verse 7. All right. In the spirit of the tabernacle, I want us to get this understanding as we enter in of where we should be trying to lend our hearts, right? It started with trumpets, went through atonement, but now that we're in tabernacle, it's time to start making ourselves secure. And there is something that if we keep our minds on, it keeps us steadfast and secure to Yah. All right. All right, let's read it. It says, can thou by searching find out God? Can thou find out the Almighty unto perfection? It is as high as heaven, what can thou do? Deeper than hell, what can thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth vain men and seeth wickedness also, will he not consider it? For vain men would be like wise, though man be born like a wild ass's colt, right? So he's saying that the Most High, right, his knowledge is higher than ours. We know that his ways are deeper than ours. Who can know it, right? He also says, he says in verse 9, right? He says, the measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? So who can hinder the Most High from doing his will? Nobody, right? And that's the understanding that we already have. It's saying that he knoweth vain men. He knows those men who have emptiness within him, who profess with their mouths, but their heart is far from him. He knows these men, but they will not be able to hinder the gathering. right? Together. And so when we know, or when we understand that nobody can hinder what the Most High has set his heart to doing, then we have to make sure that our hearts align with his, right? Okay, because then nobody can hinder us. All right, 13. It says, if thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thine hands toward him, right? If thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thy hands towards him, if iniquity be in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles, right? And so as we are in our tabernacles, we know that there is no physical tabernacle. There's no place here that we can point to and say that is the place where Yah's name is, right? He is in us individually. So if we are his tabernacles, what should we be doing? We should be preparing our hearts, stretching out our hands towards him, and then we should be casting out wickedness from our dwelling, right? This is what Zophar is trying to tell Job. Now, Job doesn't understand this because he's like, man, I can't point to anything that I've done, right? But yet all of this this bad has come against me. But what Zophar, what he's saying is true to us today, because this is what we have to ensure, that iniquity, if it is in our hand, if there is anything that is in our hand, that means that it is our strength. That means that you know it's something that's causing you to go against the Most High, but it is something that you hold, right? It's something that if you had that understanding, it's something that you hold, that you have the ability to let go of, right? Think about how deep that is. I'm holding something that is keeping me from the Most High. I can let it go, but I'm gonna choose not to. I'm gonna choose to hold on to this iniquity, and as I hold on to this iniquity, I'm going to bring wickedness into my tabernacle, into my dwelling, right? Instead of letting that go and stretching forth my hands towards the Most High. All right, so it says, if iniquity be in thy hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles. For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot. Yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery and remember it as waters that pass away. So when we give up sin, that anything that made us miserable, anything that brings us or tries to bring us into bondage, or that has ever held us captive, we start to forget about those things. We start to be in what we call an everlasting joy, even before we get our new bodies. And this is where we're trying to go, right? Not trying to be tied to the past, the old man, our old nature, but we're trying to walk in newness of light, to where those things don't even affect us. It only happens when we completely let go, when we completely purge our tabernacles of all the things that we know are holding us back, and that Yah has given us the strength to get rid of, right? For the things that we know not of, guess what? He's going to tell you those things. He's going to reveal them to you. But you first have to get away. You have to put down the iniquity that's in your hand. You got to put down the sin that you're carrying, that you know you're carrying, and you know is weighing you down and keeping wickedness in your tabernacle. This thing has to be purged in these last days, because there has to be no doubt that whatever we face, we know the Most High is with us, because we in him, and we have no fear of what can even come against us or happen to this flesh. All right. So it says thy misery, and remember it as the waters that pass away. You will forget thy misery, remember it as waters that pass away. 17, it says, and thy age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth, and thou shalt be as the morning, and thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. Yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. And thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many shall make suit unto thee, but the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost. Man, this is the process. This is the process, but we have to take it serious in the time that we're coming into now. It says thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. Hope of what, right? let's go to Hebrews 11 real quick. Let's go to Hebrews 11. Right, so we understand what hope is, and we read this before, right? But just so we have a complete understanding of what hope is, because hope has to go in something. It's not just hope is not something that just survives in and of itself. Hope has to be attached to something, right? So Hebrews 11 verse 1, right? Now, when we say we think about hope, right? When you are hoping for something, that means you have an expectation. You have you're looking forward to something. That is your hope. If you have a hope of seeing someone, you have a hope of hearing from someone, you have a hope of receiving a report, right? It says, now faith is the substance, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. So it says that your faith is inside of your hope. Your hope inside of it contains your faith. So what you have a hope for will allow you to stand on the Most High's word. If you have a hope for the kingdom, if you have a hope for a miracle, if you have a hope that he is going to heal you, that he is going to preserve you, protect you, if you have that hope within inside of you, then your faith is going to stand, right? That is the substance of your hope. Let me rely on the Most High because I know that he's going to do this. I have an expectation that he's going to move as we continue to walk, as I continue to go through. I know that he's going to be there. He's going to be present. This is what Moses understood, right? This is the whole idea of stand still and see the salvation, right? We come to this point where there's no way we can get across this water, but yet I have a hope, right? Yet I understand who we serve and who has brought us out and who has protected us all of this time. So I know that in this hour, something is going to be done. That's what we have to have in our minds. Not just throughout this tabernacle, but even going further. If there's anything that is still revealed in us that needs to be cast out, if there's anything that we're dealing with that we need his help on, if there's anything that we deal with after we come out of this Moreh, is your hope going to be established in him? Is he going to be the substance of it? Because he is our faith. Do you have faith in Hamashiach to the point where he is the true substance of your hope? Go ahead, Doc. What you got?
I just want to say, since you're going to Job real quick, y'all get time to read that Job 35, 1 and 2, and then 38, 1 through 4, right? Because this is Israel's problem. Some of Israel, let me say that. Job, the people couldn't see the problem that Job had. And one of the issues Job had is that he knew he was righteous. Okay? He knew he was righteous. Okay? And he was. But what happens is he was comparing himself to his righteousness to other men. So this gave him a big head. This is why when you get to Job 38, you see God telling him like, yo, where were you when I done this? Where were you when I done this? You see what I'm saying? Done this, done that. Because he was righteous, but he knew he was righteous, but his righteousness has nothing to do with himself. Mm-hmm. And this is the issue we got to be. He had an underline. You couldn't see it. And he couldn't see it. Pride is something that's so hard to be seen because you actually be trying to do the right thing. And if you're not careful, you'll get in pride. You'll get pride by doing the right thing. Because you're like, yo, I ain't sinning. I ain't out here hoeing around. I ain't out here lying and stealing, whatever. I'm doing the right thing. But are you giving all the glory to God? You understand what I'm saying? So it was something that nobody could see. Not even he himself. So this is why humbleness is so important when we deal with that atonement that comes to the tabernacle, because it's a self-examination to really check, yo, I'm doing this, but what's really in my heart? Because sometimes you can't see what you're doing, but it's something in your heart that can be called to do something when you think you're right. But he just want to get even that out. But that's all I wanted to bring out.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful stuff, bro. And man, right on par with what you're talking about. I want us to get understanding that our heart has to be aligned with his heart. self-examination is important, but he can see what you can't see. So when you have it in your heart to examine yourself, as he is examining you also, he will reveal things that you didn't even notice. This is what he had to do with Job. But your heart has to be in line with that. When a person's heart is not set on self-examination, how, when he's examining you, can he tell you what's wrong with you? Because you're going to deny it or reject it or go against it, right? Or call the things that he's pointing out to be of the devil, right? Every spirit that we look at when it comes to pride, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to fear, all of these things like that, they can imitate what we would call wisdom, right? You can see a person who is walking in pride, and then a person, we say it all the time, like, oh man, they just confident, they just believe what they talk about, things like that. But this is what I'm saying, like Job, to Ox's point, man, he was looking at other people and measuring himself up against them, but he wasn't looking at the Most High and saying, what have I done against you? What is in me that is still taking me away from you? Right? If you look at any form of anxiety, some people look at that just being like, man, they cautious. But really within them is a panic, is a fear of doubt that something is going to happen. And so they take extra precaution when the Most High is telling them to move. That's wickedness, right? There are spirits that will imitate, right? They will try to imitate wisdom or fruits of the spirit, but you have to examine yourself on a daily basis. And as the Most High is examining you, he's going to point those things out. This is why your heart has to be aligned with him. It can't just be words coming out of your mouth. Your heart has to be, I want you to point out my imperfections. I want you to reveal what's in me that needs to be put down, that needs to be gotten rid of, right? If I know of anything personally that I need to put down, let me do that now so that we can deal with the real issues that's keeping me away from you. And this is what Job had to come to the understanding of, and that's what we have to come to the understanding of. If he is the substance of your hope, if he is your faith, you have all your belief in him, then as you examine yourself, he's going to start to reveal things that need to be taken out, and they need to happen now because he is going to make you ready. So when the time comes for you to stand, when the time really comes for you to stand, because there are trials that we're going through right now, but these are trials by fire to shaping us, right? It's going to be a time where it's really going to be on the line, right? It's going to be a time where we really going to have to make that call. I was just talking to Ike about this not too long ago. Like New York, man, them vaccination IDs is starting to be in effect everywhere. Like it's getting to that time where he's gonna say, okay, have you made yourself ready according to my will? And that all that's saying is, have you examined yourself according to my heart, not your heart? Go ahead, Ike.
This is the time to know when to really recognize and check yourself and let the Most High and be, I'll even say it this much, allowing the Most High to show you where you're consistent and where you're inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you're consistent in him, it's going to be growth. If you're inconsistent in the spirits that are trying to talk to you, you're going to notice that your moves constantly switching up, that you're not as, even as you said, confident. The things that he's giving you to do, you either have an ambition to do them or you just won't do them at all. And that's when the enemy is real sneaky about that. It'll imitate you and make you think that, you got the time to be a little lazy today. And that's inconsistency. And that leads to back to sin. So we'll go ahead and
No,
bring it out.
that's a fact. And man, that's all I got at this hour. I want to lay that on the spirit of the family that's on tonight, because look, this is what we got to understand. It's him that's doing the searching. When we get to these moeds, it's him that's going through these houses and he's looking in, right? A lot of people don't understand, but when we kept Tabernacle last year at that campsite, man, when we was in those tents, he was going to every tent. He visits every single tent, and he searches and he seeks to see, okay, who is with me and who isn't, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's gonna happen no matter what. No matter wherever we are, he is going around and he is seeking who is with me and who isn't, right? The last, when we look at Jerusalem being set up again, you can read this in Ezekiel. There isn't gonna be any wall set up. You remember in Nehemiah where they had to go back and build the walls of Jerusalem? This time when the temple is set up, it ain't gonna be no walls. It's gonna be him. He is gonna protect those borders. All he gonna do is measure it out. If you cross this line and you ain't in me, guess what? You get dealt with. Unless I give you permission to cross this line, you can't come in this place, right? So those who have a heart towards him, those who are in him, are going to be the ones that can cross that threshold. And this is what we have to understand right now, because no matter where we're going, no matter where he's taking us in this hour, wherever we're going, you better make sure that you are in line with him in truth and the spirit. In truth and the spirit. You can keep all the feast days you want. If your heart ain't with him, you ain't going too far. Right? And we're gonna see it. We seeing it now, but man, when we actually see it, all of these people who claim to be in him, and then when we get into a position where it's like, okay, now the lights is on, it's time to perform. Right? It's time to really lean on the one who we've been preaching about. Man, you're gonna see some people scatter. You're gonna see some people fall because they ain't know it had to get like this. They ain't know we had to go through all of this, right? I ain't know I had to go 2 or 3 days without eating, right? I ain't know I had to wonder where we're gonna get water tomorrow. Who's gonna be able to rely on him to preserve you and to keep you? And even if your life is on the line, who is still gonna say, well, to Yah be the glory? That's what he's looking for. That's what he's looking for. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? No greater example. We believe that the Most High will deliver us, but if he don't, we still ain't bound. Like, it don't matter, right? Whose heart is going to get to that place where they are so secure in him that it don't matter what you do to this flesh, I know I'm protected. That's what it's coming to. That's what tabernacle is about. That's what he searches out. Who's going to rely on me to the depth? Go ahead,
And bro, it's a whole nother experience when you fasten in your house and you got water everywhere. You know what I'm saying? No, if you, in case you get thirsty, you can go get some water. But if you out there and you don't know no water coming and you ain't no water in sight, it's a whole nother feeling.
Hold
Just
on.
think of someone who ever been in a situation where you ain't got no job. It's a whole nother feeling if you know you got a check coming, you got one more check in the hole coming, then when you know, hey, that's it. Ain't no more check coming. Think about
Come on.
that feeling. Let me
Come on,
go
man.
talking to you. You know what I
Come
mean?
on.
Keep preparing us right now. So we be fasting, but subconsciously, your body knows it's some water right there, some food in there. So when you out there and ain't nothing around, we're gonna see what it is. But just we gotta keep our faith now. Hallelujah.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole point is that when we dealing with matters of the flesh, you can only overcome them if your heart is right. You can only overcome them if your heart is right. And it's when the time comes, it ain't the time to get ready. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people, just like we do, right? They gonna wait till the time comes to say, all right, now I'm a fast, right? But your flesh, I'm telling you, it's gonna be convicting you, coming against you because you ain't prepared it, but it's because your heart ain't prepared. Your heart ain't right towards him. Because if you was with him, he would have told you, hey, I need you to start fasting. I need you to pray this. I need you to pray that. I need you to lift up your voice, right? I need you to read this. He's going to prepare your heart. He's going to show you what's in you that needs to get out because the time, the hour is coming. And if it ain't coming for us, it might be our generation. It might be there. It might be the next generation that come after them. So we got to prepare them. But how are we going to do it if we ain't prepared, right? We ain't making ourselves ready. So, man, that's all I wanted to drop on y'all tonight. Are you secure in him? Are you looking at him to be secure? Are you putting away iniquity so that there's no wickedness in your tabernacle, right? Because that's the only way. That is the only way that your heart can be truly prepared. That's the process. And so, of course, we all got self-examination to do, but I just want to stress that self-examination is not according to what we think is wrong. It's according to what he tells us is wrong, right? We've been doing that. We've done that a lot for generations, right? Upon generations. Oh, I know I need to fix this. I know I need to fix this. But it's like, yeah, some of that stuff might be surface. Some of that stuff he might not even be dealing with yet because it's a deeper root that's going to get rid of all of that. So are you seeking him to purge all that out, right? And that's what it comes down to. Anybody got anything? Anybody got anything at all? when we get off.
It's time to be steady like a heartbeat, not erratic like a heart attack.
All
It's that
right.
time.
All right, that's a bar right there, man. You need to put that in some music, bro. Uh, yeah, for sure. And this is why, man. This is why I constantly say this. This is why Ox been saying it. This is why, man. Cody's been saying it. Y'all been bringing this out, and I don't even know if y'all realize it. It don't matter. It don't matter. Oh, let me put it like this: the Most High don't need us to be ready for this train to move. It's gonna move. Whatever he set, whatever he has set in motion, is going. Right? We just have to make sure that we on board. That's it. Because he don't he is pushing so many of us to just get ourselves right. And we gotta start taking this thing serious. These moeds every single year have become more serious to me because I see his judgment in them. It ain't got nothing to do with, man, I love being with the family. I love praising and worship and getting together and building in the word and stuff like that. But I see his judgment in it. You're not gonna get to dwell with me if you don't go through the atonement, if you don't hear the warning sound, right? If you're not a part of the wheat harvest that we keep doing Shavuot, right? If you haven't been passed over and been delivered, first and foremost, if you haven't recognized that the blood is what covers you, like when I see these feast days, man, I see his judgment, because if you don't make it past these steps, man, it's death in front of all of them, in front of every last one of them. When it comes to Tabernacle, Passover, and Shavuot, if you come empty-handed, then what happens to you? You get cut off. If you coming to me and you ain't got nothing to offer up in order to get yourself right, then you're looking at me and saying, I've done nothing for you. Think about that. You're gonna come into my moed and you don't have anything to offer up to me. That's you saying that I haven't blessed you. Him giving us breath up until this point means he got something for us. And all we got to do is just search it out. And he's gonna reveal it. And every time he reveals something, it makes us more secure in him, because we know, man, Abba is listening, he watching, he's examining me, and he trying to get me right. I don't know what testimony you could want outside of the Most High hears me, he sees me, and he trying to get me right. Even David wasn't all. He was like, what is man that you are so mindful of him? Like, why do you watch us so closely and you just want us to just be perfect before you? Like, what are we but dust, right? But the Most High's love, he's like, man, I want to see y'all get in. I want to see y'all have eternal life, but it's got to be done my way, right? And in order to have that happen, we got to seek him out. So right on cue, that was beautiful. Anybody got anything else? Anything you want to add before we get up out of here?
I'm sorry, I ended up coming on late, but Rick had asked us if we would find scriptures based on Sukkot, I believe was the assignment. So I had something that I wanted to bring out, if that's okay.
Sis, go ahead, run it.
Okay, it's Genesis 33:17, and I'm gonna read from my version. Wait, should I wait for everybody to get there? I don't want to go too fast.
Yes, ma'am. Take your time, sis. We right there with you. You said Genesis what?
33:17.
All right. All right, I'm with you.
So I
Everybody
don't
in
know
church, say amen. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Go ahead, sis.
if Preacher! Okay. Um, so I was trying to go based off of the first mention of Sukkot, and I don't know if I got this correct or not, but it's the first time that I've seen it in the scriptures, or that I recall seeing it. And my version says, and Yaakov sent out to Sukkot and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. That is why the name of the place is called Sukkot. And as I've been reading this and just going through some studies about Sukkot, one of the things I noticed is Jacob came out from the house of Labon, which was, in my opinion, a type of house of bondage, because he was a servant to Labon for his wives. And when he came out, he built himself a house, but he built booths for his livestock. And it reminds me of a foreshadowing of what Yahusha has done. Because after his death, he said that he was going back to the right hand of the Father, and he was going to prepare a house. And in the meanwhile, while he prepares the house, we're here believing in him, even though we haven't seen. And during this time, we prepare these booths or these tents or these tabernacles to remind us that he's our true tabernacle and he's getting a house prepared. He's already in his house, but he's preparing a place for us. And in the meanwhile, while we're still here, we remember by building these booths that he is our true tabernacle. He's our true covering, our true protection. And so we don't need anything but him. He'll provide all of our needs. We're his sheep. He says his sheep know his voice and they won't respond to another one. So every year when this time comes around, I think of myself as a little sheep while I'm in my little tent, and know that no matter, even though there's wild animals outside that make me tremble a little bit because I don't like bugs and I don't like big animals,
Right.
that I'm okay. I'm safe. He's there to protect me and all of us. And he's not
Yeah.
going to let one of us get hurt or ravaged. So that was all I was going to bring out. I thought that was a beautiful thing. And then after that, the next mention, I think, was us coming out of Egypt, coming out of another captivity. And the first place they went to was Sukkot.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And then man, the idea, the understanding behind Sukkot, that was beautiful stuff, sis. The idea behind Sukkot, oftentimes shepherd would do this for their cattle. It was to block them from the rays of the sun, so that they weren't constantly being beaten up by the sun, right? And they could actually graze under some form of cover or shade. But the purpose behind it also was so that they could see the shepherd, right? There was no glare blinding their vision. So when we look at Sukkot or building a booth, it is literally to keep the glare out of your eyes so that you can see the one who is directing you, calling you, leading you. And this is what the Most High does for us, man. He gets rid of all of the distractions. That's why we know we're kind of getting away from him, because we find our minds being lured away by other things, keeping us off the main thing, right? There are so many things at work trying to lead us away from him. And if we could just understand that, focus on that, we could draw our attention to him always. There's always some problem, some new thing in the news, whatever, that's trying to just lead us away from him, trying to get us fixated on it so that we don't focus on him. And all he's trying to do is say, no, no, here. And if we focus on him, like, he is our shade, he's our covering. He's our covering. He blocks us from all of that, because he always just brings our mind back. It doesn't matter. I can see any form of destruction, and I'm going to pray for the individuals involved. If I see any form of craziness, chaos, racism, it doesn't matter what it is, I always just say, well, I know y'all got a plan. I know he sent his king, and I know he's going to deliver his children. And it brings me back to focus so that I don't get out of character. I don't start getting angry. I don't start to dwell on things that I can't change or have a direct impact on. So it keeps me focused on, all right, y'all, what you want me to do, because I know you're going to deal with that, right? And so that's what we have to do. That's the purpose of this tabernacle, man. He's everything. He's all things. He's all things. Every feast day points to him. We keep trying to direct these feast days towards us. They deal with us, right? We serve them, but they are about him. They memorialize him. It's not a memorial of Israel. It's a memorial of our king, Yahushua HaMashiach. Good stuff, sis. Anybody got anything else? Anything at all? Iman, I know you got on late. It's recorded. I'm gonna post it up as soon as I get done here, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. Anybody else? Does anybody have anything? You know. All right, family. Appreciate y'all prayers. For everybody who lifted up their voice. Cody, Monica, appreciate you getting on. We know you got on late, sis, but it's all good. Like I said, you go back and watch the message, and please continue to pray. Just for the family, just for the body, as we all will do. And if nobody has anything else, man, I will see y'all on Thursday. We're gonna continue part 2 of this message. All right. So blessing to the family. Shalom. Y'all have a good night. Happy Feast of Tabernacles, and I'll see y'all soon. Y'all willing. Oh,
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.